Good day, my beloved brethren. This is Zobida here once again with today's reflections entitled Through the Eyes of Simon the Cyrene. I came to Jerusalem for the feast of the Passover. It was something I longed to experience all my life. As I awoke that morning, I made my way to the city. I heard what seemed to be an angry crowd coming out of the city. They were shouting and cursing and mocking at three men bearing crosses. One of them was having an unbearably difficult time. He seemed to be holding up the procession. It was Jesus. I recognized him, though it was so very difficult to do, since his entire body was covered with scars that revealed raw flesh and blood. Blood seemed to gush from everywhere. His eyes were streaming with blood. It seemed that he had taken a beating that had been known to kill countless men. He wore a crown made from enormous stones that pierced through and through his brow. He was so weak that he stumbled and fell beneath the weight of the cross. I stepped forward to help him. It seemed as if I was the only one not mocking him. Then the soldiers compelled me to carry his cross. As I lifted the cross from off his shoulder, he looked at me with a love so deep that it drew out my compassion. I gave no trouble. I willingly lifted the cross and placed it on my shoulders. It was heavy, but I managed. He looked so frail from the loss of blood, so weak and almost disfigured. It was hard to believe that this was actually a man, a human being. I never realized that this was the blood that would save the souls of all men, now making its way through the streets of Jerusalem. My name is Simon, which means God has heard. And so I believe that it was no accident that I was here at this place at this moment. I could not tell how many times before he must have fallen beneath the heavy load. But now I am here for you, Jesus. I will go with you to the very end. As he slowly hobbled up the hill, he would try to rest, but the soldiers would kick him and strike him with the back of their lances. They were in a hurry to get the job done. He tried to wipe the blood away from his eyes with his hand so that he could see where he was going, but his hands were covered with blood, and so that seemed to be impossible. A woman gave him her handkerchief to wipe his face. As he handed it back to her, I thought I saw the image of his face imprinted on it. During the final part of the journey, they again placed the cross on his shoulders, and so he barely dragged it to the top of the hill, that place which was called Golgotha, meaning the place of the skull. There they wrenched the cross from off his shoulders and placed it on the ground. Very violently they shoved him down on it. I could say one thing for this Jesus: he was strong-willed. He had a lot of stamina. You could see he was in great pain, and his distress was clear. As they stretched out his blood-stained hands on the cross, and as they nailed him to it, it seemed as if he could not control the anguish, the unbearable pain, as the enormous nails ripped through his veins, his very flesh. He cried out as loud as he could with what seemed to be every last drop of strength. And as they lifted the cross high and dropped it into the earth, his loud groans of agony filled the air as his battered body sagged on the cross. And then I noticed his mother at the foot of the cross. I remember her trying to reach out to him several times, but the angry crowd shoved her away every time. It was beyond any imagination, the heart-wrenching pain she was going through. And then the sixth hour came, and darkness prevailed all over the land. And I thought, this was no ordinary man. I stood there speechless. If only I could have done something more. I could have left then and there, but I waited. And then about the ninth hour, I heard him cry out in a loud voice, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Then someone soaked a sponge with vinegar and placing it on a reed, gave him to drink. Then Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "It is accomplished," and he breathed his last. I heard the veil in the temple was torn into two from top to bottom, and I heard the centurion say, as I was standing right next to him, "This man was truly the Son of God." After that, I left the city. I no longer cared to experience the Jewish Passover. I had witnessed enough. They were memories that would haunt me the rest of my life. I, Simon of Cyrene, do hereby confess that everything I say is the absolute truth. You see, I witnessed it all with my own eyes. Beloved, many a times we are called to bear crosses we do not expect. Sometimes we might even be called to help someone bear their cross. Would we put down our cross because the weight might seem too heavy? Or would we say like Simon, "I am here for you. I would go with you to the very end"? Helping someone bear their cross is one of the greatest acts of love you could ever hope to accomplish. And so, beloved, may the Lord fill your hearts with love and compassion for one another. May you know that when you take time to reach out to each other, you are actually reaching out to God. So may God bless you, beloved. Be blessed with a day filled with the light of Christ as you reach out to each other. May God bless you.